Hi, welcome to our 12-minute conversation on operationally speaking. I'm Sergiu Simmel, Principal EOS Implementer at Get Business Momentum.
And I'm Paul Marston, the owner and CEO of Abenaki Carriers. More precisely, I'm the integrator and I'm the visionary at my transportation company, which I've been running on EOS for the last 4 years, and it's the entrepreneurial operating system for several years now.
And I've had the pleasure and honor to be Abenaki's EOS Implementer. What a journey we've had, right, Paul?
A journey indeed. Yes, you and I have had quite a lot to share, some of the best and well, I wouldn't say worse, but ups and downs, if you will, twists and turns. Really an amazing a journey that has brought us together right now.
Absolutely. Now, our first conversation here will be about the weekly pulsing meetings. So, ready to get going, Paul?
I am ready when you are, Serge.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about what your meetings, your leadership team meetings, I should say, used to be before.
Well, since I wasn't the victim of them, I can only give you the bird's eye view, if you will. But no, I mean, we were small business meetings. They weren't regular. They would run too long. I would have follow up because that's my nature, but it wasn't nearly as precise as I thought it was. Another thing that I realized was that I would let the meetings be dominated by the loudest voice, which I've come to learn that you get such great insight from all the people in the room, and that is a real blessing to have. And I think quite honestly, the meetings before, they used to be dreaded. I mean, I think people would roll their eyes when we would have the meetings, and we thought we were fairly consistent, and we would have a couple meetings a month, and we would have informal meetings, but the formal meetings, with the big agenda, was a couple times a month, and they weren't really as effective as I thought.
Mm. Yeah. So what do you think people dreaded most?
I think they dreaded the lack of a really consistent agenda.
Mm.
They dreaded leaving the meeting saying, did we accomplish anything? And I would know, as a leader, that we weren't on the same page. I wouldn't have that absolute clarity that we are one team, that we were all, we might have solved one issue back then, but there wasn't this sense of accountability, understanding the business, clarity on where we are, opportunity to address the most important questions. And I mean, I could easily go into some of it's a little bit difficult, because when you've seen the light, if you will, when things have gotten better, you kind of forget a little bit on how bad they were. So some of the solutions we see now sound obvious, but they won't be obvious to somebody who's not had an effective meeting.
That's right. That's right. So, I mean, generally speaking, we are talking about what sometimes people refer to as standing meetings, meaning meetings that basically occur on a regular basis. And one thing that I learned through our implementation together at Abenaki, as well as the implementation of EOS that I've done over the past 7 or so years in dozens upon dozens upon dozens of companies, is that regularity, the rhythm is actually key. It's actually more important than people think about it for some reason. The ability to have an expectation that, Sunday always follows Saturday and is before Monday, that kind of like absolute certainty, the sun is going to rise in the east, in a sense. And of course, I'm exaggerating
No, you're spot on. But I'll throw a little bit of a monkey wrench into it. It isn't the consistency that is you get the consistency as a byproduct of people wanting to actually go to the meeting, which it took about a month, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but it's when they want to be in the room, when they know that if I wait until, our meetings are Thursday mornings, if I wait till then, I can bring this issue up. If I wait till then, I can share this news. I got everybody in the same room.
Absolutely.
That's you end up, it ends because it is regular, and then you hold yourself to that. But I got to be honest, when we don't have the meetings, you actually have this empty spot of I didn't get my dose of, I don't know where the company is. I didn't get my key numbers. I didn't get, this succinct.
So speaking about that, actually, so what do the meetings look like now?
Oh, well, now it's totally effective use of time. Now it's meetings that people are on time for. We sometimes care a little bit too much about starting on time, ending on time, but we're really, to the minute. They start exactly at 9:45 and they end exactly at 11:15 or sometimes earlier. They are, I look at the meetings as the first section of the meeting is accountability. What are the key metrics in the company? We just, we know exactly, you feel like, okay, everyone on the leadership team knows where sales is and operations and all the pieces. There are promises we made last week that we would do stuff. And now it's documented. Let's call them out. Did you do it? Didn't you do it? The bigger things, the stuff we're working on in the quarter, I don't want to use a lot of jargon, but our 90-day goals, are they on track? And that's a big one, because we got some bigger projects, and it's, as a leader, it's my job to get those upper right quadrant things, those important but not urgent items, to keep people going in that direction. So getting a pulse on that every week. So you have that accountability, but it's done in a way that is 15, 20 minutes. We're not spending all day on that because we want to get to the issues. And our meetings now are meetings where we spend most of the time solving problems, but not always problems, because sometimes an issue is, hey, we got a new piece of business. How are we going to orchestrate that? Who's in charge of what? I would say most of our issues are positive oriented. So I think someday we'll come up with a new term, not issues, because I think issues has a negative connotation. But I think there's always an adrenaline boost too when you solve problems as a team, and you get that eureka moment, and that's that everybody being heard aspect. When all of a sudden you've got an operational problem, and your IT manager comes up with a report, or even sometimes it's somebody pointing back to our core values out of the blue and saying, is there really a question here? Because I thought we were professionally delivering value. Or something, and it's because you're so in the hole and somebody else in the room comes up with a brilliant observation. So
I have a question for you, Paul. So of course, this is where we are now, and obviously, as you mentioned at the top of our conversation, you've been implementing or operating this way for close to 4 years now. I'm sure that internally there must have been some resistance to moving from wherever you are, no matter how good the present time is. Can you share with me?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, because people don't know what you don't know. And so if I ran in and I told them we're gonna have a 90-minute meeting, they would, oh my God, we couldn't handle your hour-long meetings before. How are we gonna? This is no way. We're not gonna do this. So that was a big deal. And you have to get away from that, because it isn't the time. We actually end our meetings a little bit early quite often. But what we have is a standing list of issues that, I mean, we could meet for 4 hours and not get through all the issues, because we never forget one. Because when you're solving one issue and something else, you're trying to get to the right question, invariably you might uncover another couple of issues, and you don't want to stop this issue, so you put that on the back burner. That maybe we have a procedural problem somewhere, or maybe so-and-so's not, there's an issue with our training process, and you say, well, I don't want to, we got to solve this problem, let's document that. So now we have a great list. So our, the length, that was a shocker. This notion of making sure everybody's heard. So I would say that was, that's a tool for the leader of the room. Everybody knows the rules, but that's a tool, because, when you're going around, you say, hey, look, so-and-so, what do you think? And it's like, well, and by the way, somebody else in the room that might be super passionate about it, you've got to move the conversation over to the person who hasn't had a chance to speak yet. And that's a little bit unusual. So those were the big things, but the content of the meeting and the quality of the results take over basically by the third or fourth meeting. And I say it like I've seen it before because I now have seen it before, because we're doing it at some other businesses I'm affiliated with and some other business owners that I'm affiliated with have the same epiphanies. And it's really an epiphany when you all of a sudden see something brand new and you're like, oh my gosh, this is an effective tool now. It's not something I'm beaten with and have to endure.
Well, unfortunately, we promised to have these conversations inside 12 minutes, and the time is kind of running up, Paul. Any last thoughts?
Certainly, I benefited, our company and all the people have benefited incredibly from EOS, and incredibly from your coaching. You've got a great insight into EOS. It's more than reading the book. It comes from Traction, great book, and there's a lot to be learned elsewhere. But having a coach that really jumpstarts you instead of trial and error. There's so much to it, and it's so hard to read the label from the inside. For me to coach, there's as much coaching for the leader of a group as there is the group, and it's been really, really helpful. So I would just endorse the process. Huge believer in EOS. Read the book, listen to it on Audible. I love that, and I also endorse researching a coach, and like yourself, Sergiu.
Thank you so much, Paul, for your endorsement. And obviously, for anybody who's watching this, the way to reach me is to just give me a call, 617-731-3132, or email me at sss@getbusinessmomentum.com. And now, listen, I'm looking forward to our next 12-minute conversation at Operationally Speaking. And until then, as I say, have an operationally great time. Thank you.
Thank you, Serge.